With the wealth of exam preparation material currently on the market, it may seem like it should be relatively easy to prepare students for these exams. However, many teachers often ask themselves, how can I fit exam preparation into an already jam-packed course? It may feel like you're constantly running against the clock, as Cambridge exam prep, more often than not, becomes secondary to teaching goals and objectives outlined by your school or teaching centre. You may have national and regional curriculums to adhere to, yet parents, students, and even peers demand the need for students to be put through their paces to demonstrate a level of English proficiency before the year is out. Whether you're new to preparing for exams or somewhat a veteran, here are some ideas on how to successfully prepare your students for their Cambridge exams without getting burnt out in the process. Incorporating exam prep into a regular English lesson is definitely easier said than done, but this is where Twinkle comes in. You can search through the material we have for each part of the exam and try to incorporate our exam prep worksheets into the module or topic that you're teaching. That way, learning continues to be more meaningful and all objectives and learning goals are met, but you're killing two birds with one stone and getting the exam practice in too. If you're feeling even more creative, you can also follow one of our practice exam worksheets, but change the topic and make it more relevant to your individual class needs. For example, take a standard reading text from one of your course books, but instead of using the book's reading comprehension questions, turn it into an exam reading comprehension using Cambridge-style questions. You may have asked yourself, or been asked by your students, how do you revise for a Cambridge English exam when the vocabulary and the grammatical structure lists seem endless? What students can do is keep track of common vocabulary that come up in practice tests, especially in the use of English sections of the B2 and C1 exams. They could also be encouraged to keep their own personal vocabulary notebook in which they write down new structures as and when they come across them. Every time a student prepares a writing or a speaking task, you could ask them to tick off new structures from their personal lists so as to ensure they are using the language that they are learning. In order to combat exam day nerves, we can make sure we've given our students enough practice beforehand, either through mock exams, so they know exactly what the exam setup will be like or how long they will take for each question. It's a great idea to set timers and set goals for students for each part of the test so they can practice against the clock. Another thing that we can do is role-play exam situations, such as going blank in a speaking exam and not knowing what to say. Giving our students some fixed expressions and phrases to get them through some of those moments will give them a real confidence boost. At the end of the day, these exams test skills, so exposing your students to as much authentic exam practice as possible will really help them excel in their tests. The more they practice, the more familiar they are with the exam exercises and skills required to complete them. Therefore, the more confident they will be when the exam date comes. Getting your learners ready by following all of the steps mentioned will really help your students to feel as confident as they can be. Of course, they are teenagers. There are a lot of hormonal and physical changes going on in their bodies right now, but it's only natural that they will begin to feel stressed out and overwhelmed. But we, as teachers, can really help them by making the whole process more manageable and even more enjoyable. Now let's take a look at the marking scheme for A2 to C1 exams. The marking scheme for Cambridge exams is achieved by using the Cambridge English scale. Each candidate is given an individual mark for each paper. Reading, or reading and use of English for B2 and C1, writing, listening, and speaking. Their total score can then be referred to on the scale, which determines whether or not the candidate has passed. Here we have an example of the Cambridge English scale. For a student to achieve an A2 level, they need to score between 120 to 140. To achieve the B1 level, they need to score between 140 and 160. To achieve the B2 level, they need to score between 160 and 180. And finally, to achieve a C1 level, they need to score between 180 to 200. It all sounds a little complicated, but there are several ways a teacher can calculate marks during the preparation stages. Here is a brief breakdown of each exam and how it's marked. Let's start with the A2 key for schools. The reading paper parts 1 to 5 are worth 1 mark each, totaling a maximum of 30 marks in the reading section. The writing paper, parts 6 and 7, are marked using CEFR assessment scales. Students are given marks from 0 to 5 on content, organisation, and language. Each part is worth 15 marks, totaling 30 marks in the writing section. Students are not given half marks. Each question in the listening paper is worth 1 mark, totaling 25 marks. The speaking paper is also marked using a CEFR assessment scale. The 2 examiners give marks from 0 to 5. The assessor provides marks on grammar and vocabulary, pronunciation, and interactive communication. The interlocutor gives a global achievement mark, which is multiplied by 3, therefore totaling a maximum of 45 marks for the speaking exam. Students can be given half marks. The B1 Preliminary for Schools exam is marked very similarly to the A2 Key for Schools. In the reading paper, students are given 1 mark for correct answers in parts 1 to 6, and there are 32 marks available in the reading paper. In the writing paper, similarly to other Cambridge exams, the writing paper is marked using the CEFR assessment scale. Students are marked on content, communicative achievement, organisation, and language. Each part is worth 20 marks, totaling 40 marks for this paper. Students cannot receive half marks. Each question is worth 1 mark, totaling 25 marks for the listening paper. The speaking paper is also marked using a CEFR assessment scale. The 2 examiners give marks from 0 to 5. The assessor provides marks on grammar and vocabulary, discourse management, pronunciation, and interactive communication. The interlocutor gives a global achievement mark, which is multiplied by 2, therefore totaling a maximum of 30 marks for the speaking exam. Students can be given half marks. For the B2 First for Schools, the reading section, which is reading and use of English paper parts 1, 5, 6, and 7, parts 1 and 7 are worth 1 mark each, and parts 5 and 6 are worth 2 marks each, totaling 42 marks in the reading section. The use of English section, which is reading and use of English paper parts 2, 3, and 4, parts 2 and 3 are worth 1 mark. In part 4, the students can receive 2 marks for correct answers or 1 mark for partly correct answers. There are 28 possible marks. In the writing, similarly to other Cambridge exams, the writing paper is marked using a CEFR assessment scale. Students are marked on content, communicative achievement, organisation, and language. Each part is worth 20 marks, totaling 40 marks for this paper. Students cannot receive half marks. In the listening, each question is worth 1 mark, totaling 30 marks. The speaking paper is also marked using a CEFR assessment scale. The two examiners give marks from 0 to 5. The assessor provides marks on grammar and vocabulary, discourse management, pronunciation, and interactive communication. These marks are multiplied by 2. The interlocutor gives the global achievement mark, which is multiplied by 4, therefore totaling a maximum of 60 marks for the speaking exam. Students can be given half marks. Now let's take a look at the C1 Advanced. The reading section, which is reading and use of English paper, parts 1, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Parts 1 and 8 are worth 1 mark each, and parts 5, 6, and 7 are worth 2 marks each, totaling 50 marks in the reading section. The use of English section, which is reading and use of English paper, parts 2, 3, and 4, parts 2 and 3 are worth 1 mark. In part 4, students can receive 2 marks for correct answers or 1 mark for partly correct answers. There are 28 possible marks. Similarly to other Cambridge exams, the writing paper is marked using a CEFR assessment scale. Students are marked on the content, communicative achievement, organisation, and language. Each part is worth 20 marks, totaling 40 marks for this paper. Students cannot receive half marks. In the listening paper, each question is worth 1 mark, totaling 30 marks. The speaking paper is also marked using a CEFR assessment scale. The two examiners give marks from 0 to 5. The assessor gives marks on grammatical resource, lexical resource, discourse management, pronunciation, and interactive communication. These marks are multiplied by 2. The interlocutor gives a global achievement mark, which is multiplied by 5, therefore totaling a maximum of 75 marks for the speaking exam. Students can be given half marks.